Hello everyone, my name is SurrealBelief, and welcome back to another online battle featuring me, Surreal, and tokshen. Hey tokshen.
Hi, Surreal. It's featuring you. How's it going?
Hello. It's going pretty well. Now, I'm going to go over my build real quick as we go into slow motion, or we have been. I brought in 3 groups of Grail Knights. I do not often play as Bretonnia. I went, tokshen, hey, how's my build look? And he's like, no, man, you just do you. And I was like, no, look, I need you to look at my build. And then eventually you said, yeah, that looks pretty good. All right. I brought in a bunch of halberds. I believe I brought in 4 of those. I brought in 4 spearmen, and I brought in 4 bowmen. I brought in a very balanced army. I'm very shocked about how good Bretonnia actually is. At first, I was like, oh man, they're garbage. But now, I love them. I brought in a paladin. A damsel might be better. They can buff you up a lot more, but paladins are actually pretty tough. And I brought in, of course, King Leoncoeur and all that. And that is really it for my build. What about yours?
My build, I took 3 goblin spearmen for screening purposes. Behind them, I have 3 orc biggins, and then 3 orc or black orcs. And then I also brought Grimgor and a night goblin shaman, as well as a group of goblin wolf riders and spider riders to try and get behind the Empire and Dwarf lines to get to their more squishy range targets. Oh, I also brought in a Ragnarok. How could I forget?
Correct.
It's the first time I've ever brought in Spider-Man.
Right, we're bringing in some new stuff here. Now, we actually deployed together. I don't remember why we did that. We don't often do that, but we did it today. I didn't really feel confident as my player, or as a player of Bretonnia. They brought in cannon, and I feel like our opponents do bring in a lot of cannon. We have a witch hunter for them. We have a light wizard, a pretty good... Actually, that's not a bad combination. The light wizard could actually net you down. The witch hunter can do a lot of damage. They brought in a bunch of halberds, handgunners, and demigryph knights with halberds, which are pretty bad. That can easily beat me. Now, I do want to pay attention as we go through on the left flank here, because I will be trying to bog down their demigryph knights. I want them dead, and I do make a lot of use of my bowmen too, who are incredibly good.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've been saying it, Bretonnia, I think, is a solid faction, especially considering how bare bones they are. I think every unit it has its place, and, oh yeah, they have the king. But yeah, the peasant bowmen are really good. Really good. I would suggest taking them every time you play as Bretonnia.
Right. And you're beginning to move in, and I see what you're doing now. You're using your goblins to take in shots. I didn't really pay attention to that in the very beginning, but I see it now. On the right flank over here, we're fighting dwarves too. But I'm not having to worry about my right flank at all because of that giant hill right in the middle, which definitely does define the map as a whole.
Yeah, I really do like this map because specifically of that giant hill. It's kind of simple when you think about it in terms of the terrain, but it works. It splits the map, and I like the look of it.
And right now, I'm trying to avoid a bunch of demigryph knights over here who are going after your goblin wolf riders, and they're really not a fight that I can win. It won't happen. But I will give it a go. They do use a net on my knights, and that was actually the first time I've seen it in multiplayer, though it is a very valid thing to use, and they charge in at me immediately and begin tearing right into my knights.
That is, unfortunately, one of the fights that the Grail Knights cannot take. To be fair, though, not many people can take 2 groups of demigryph knights. And yeah, that was a really solid move from the light wizard to net you like that. That was really good. That was really good.
Right, and I try to get my bowman to shoot a little bit, but that isn't going to get very far. I do think in time, I do have them focus on greatswords who are way back here, and they end up doing a lot of damage. I mean, I tear them up. They're being shot into nothing, and for some reason, they're like, hey, you know what? We're not going to move.
The player was probably just, micromanaging his spells or his demigryph knights. That's the thing you got to worry about. If you bring a lot of tools that require micromanagement, you got to make sure that you have the skills to actually effectively micromanage all of those things. Like me, I can't do mass cav because I don't have the micromanaging skills needed. So play to your strengths.
Also, tokshen, you brought in Grimgor right into the middle of the greatswords that I'm shooting at. He's not fighting. I don't know if you meant to bring him there, so it's pretty funny that you were talking about that.
Well, no, I remember this specifically because you said you were targeting the greatswords, and you're like, you got to get Grimgor out of there. I was like, right. I'll move him, I guess.
I guess, I suppose. And over here, I have my halberds coming in to help out to fight the Grail Knights, and I know that I'm not going to win it, but all I need to do is bog them down. I've got more spearmen coming to flank. I did get 1 group of Grail Knights, I believe, behind them eventually. Yeah, they're over here actually hitting the dwarf player, taking out all of their cannon, and that 1 group alone does a lot of damage, and my bowmen are destroying their greatswords. And keep in mind how cheap the bowmen are. They're doing extremely well.
And yeah, for my cheap CAD that I brought, the Wolf Riders and Spider Riders, I sent the Wolf Riders a little while ago to try and harass their cannons, and then I kind of suicided them into the group of quarrelers that's been firing at us the entire time. And I'm about to do the same thing to my Forest Goblin Spider Riders because I just wanted to shut them down. It's a lot of damage those quarrelers are dealing out, so I just wanted to keep them focused on something else. So yeah, I'm about to be doing that here in a minute.
Right now, I'm watching Grimgor fight the Witch Hunter. He did a very good job on using that Witch Hunter and a Light Wizard. He used Accusation on Grimgor, and that did a lot of damage, but now you're beginning to chase his Witch Hunter, but now you're directing him to a new target over here. And I think, really, in the very beginning, I was a little bit worried because I did not think I could beat the Dimgriff Knights, but after I flanked them with my Spearmen and my Halberds, I got them. He didn't pull them out in time. Now, they're still alive, but eventually they will fall apart, and right now, we're winning. I mean, they really do not have a shot. The Dwarf player is beefy, but the Empire player, he let me beat up on his greatswords big time.
Yeah, he did not get to use his greatswords to great effect, but he did get to use his Dimgriff Knights to pretty good effect. He took out a lot of Grail Knights with them. But yeah, also, the Dwarf player with all that Quarrelers, I think they should have probably focused on my Arachnarok a little bit. They kind of ignored the Arachnarok the entire game, and now as you can see, they're kind of regretting that because it's now chomping on the Dwarf Quarrelers.
Right, and I brought in a group of men-at-arms to go bind them up even more, and at that point, we outmaneuvered them, we broke through their line. I mean, maybe if they formed up together, they would have had a better shot, but really, I think the Dwarf player brought in a lot of cheap units, and I mean, they can be okay, but not for what he's fighting right now. I mean, I had spears, I had halberds, and you had everything that you had too, and we were able to break right through.
Yeah, because I slammed some Black Orcs into the lines, and all he brought, I believe, were all Dwarf Warriors. Dwarf Warriors cannot stand up to the combined arms of even Bretonnia and the Black Orcs.
Right, and right now, my Dimgriff Knights... Oh wait, I got a little bit mixed up there. Their Dimgriff Knights, they're dying right now. They were able to get away for a brief moment, but I mean, they're pretty much done for. We've got more handgunners to worry about. But the battle's about to be wrapped up here. It's a pretty short battle, and there will be more on the way. But, yeah, I really do think they probably should have brought in a beefier line. They didn't deploy too far apart, so it really wasn't that, but we had a lot more utility in terms of how to outmaneuver them. Sure, they had Dimgriff Knights, but they were bogged down the entire time. I knew that 2 of my Grail Knights would not make it, but 1 did, and I only needed 1 group, and they're now killing a lot of them. They've got over 100 kills so far.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see how much damage their artillery did, because in our matches, we've been pretty good at trying to shut down enemy artillery, in most cases. So I'm curious to see how much they do in this battle at the end here. Because they put a lot of money in it.
Yeah, they did. Actually, if I remember right, he upgraded his field organ guns completely to rank 9.
Let's check that out. I think
go check it out. Okay.
You're right.
We did not lose a lot. Let me go check it out real quick for the Dwarf player. Yeah, and 1 did get a lot of kills, but I mean, that is not worthwhile at all.
It's 1,000 base. I don't know how much each rank is for the organ gun. I would assume around 70-ish, I think. So yeah, rank 9 on all of them. That is just so much money. And look at his Dwarf line. Like, they had no chance. This is a common thing. They just put so much faith in their artillery, and it could get so easily shut down.
Let me go look at my little feed over here real quick. 2 of my Grail Knights were completely shut down, but again, that was intentional. That was actually planned out to where I wanted to bog them down. I had my halberds and spears actually shut them down after that, so it did work out. And I did outnumber them, so I really wasn't too worried about losing a portion of my men. I knew that I had enough to cover my lines. My bowmen, while they do not look like they have a lot of kills, they did focus down a lot of elite units altogether and took them down. My Lord was okay. I probably could have used him a lot better, but I did buff him up and I did have him take out a few key targets. And beyond that, yeah, I was actually pretty pleased about how that battle felt. What about yours?
For me, it looks like I did pretty well with my Ragnarok. Again, they didn't even try to focus it down. I kept it back in the beginning of the fight because they had so much ranged fire, but I didn't even need to because they just ignored it, which you don't really want to do. My Biggins did pretty well. My Black Orcs did amazing, but again, to be expected when you're going up against just mostly Dwarf infantry. The Empire player, you were right with the shutting down of the Greatswords. If you look at their kills, one of them got 0. A Greatsword was 0 kills.
Right. Not good.
Oh, it's just... It's unfortunate, but at least the Dimgriff Knights did pretty well.
He really didn't have a chance to shoot, too, with his handgunners at all. I mean, we had more utility to outmaneuver him, and when you have that, you're not going to be able to shoot. I find that I used to love handgunners quite a bit, but, I mean, whenever your enemy can shut them down, they will do jack the whole game. But crossbows are pretty great now. I didn't like them initially, but now that I know how to use them, they're a lot better. I find that when you focus fire, you can do a lot more, and that is what I did. And it definitely worked out. And I'm looking at that Light Wizard. He didn't really do too much of that entire match. I'm sure he might have buffed a little bit here and there. The Witch Hunter tried to take down Grimgore. A bad idea doing that alone. He would need a plan. Now, had he used his Demogryph Knights and then that net, maybe he would have gotten your leader. I mean, he was pretty beaten down, but he didn't quite get you.
Yeah, he was way too focused on trying to shut down the Grail Knights, which I can understand why, because Grail Knights can be pretty scary. But yeah, you just had more units, so we were able to overwhelm them.
Right, and that will conclude our part. If you would like to see any type of weird build or matchup, let us know down below. Check out our channels too, and thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching, everybody.